Welcome back my dear friends and students. A very good morning, good afternoon and good evening to all of you. And this is the DADM, which is Data Analysis and Decision Making 1 course under NPTEL MOOC, and this total duration of the course is 30 hours, which is 60 lectures and which is spread over 12 weeks, and we are in the last lecture for the 11th week, which is the 55th lecture. And each week we have, if you remember, 5 lectures each for half an hour, and after each week you have one small assignments. And my name is Raghunandan Sengupta from the IME department, IIT Kanpur. So, if you consider the discussions about the multiple linear regression, what we did discuss was basically what was the main essence is to find out the betas, which are the regression coefficients. To find them, we use the concept of ordinary least square. There is a conceptual background for that, because you want to basically find out the unbiased estimates for the betas, find out the errors, square them up, sum them up, differentiate with respect to the betas such that we put them to 0 and find out those betas. So, that will give me the ordinary least square best estimates. And if you want to double check, plot the histograms for the betas for different sample sets, see them, it will be normally distributed with a mean value equal to betas, beta hats would have a mean value equal to their respective betas, and obviously you can find out the variances which has been given by the variance covariance matrix. Similarly, if somebody is utilizing the Linux logs, we gave the final beta values. So, it will be the beta hats plus minus a nuisance parameter, depending on the plus minus being dependent on the value of A, and you can utilize those values of beta tilde also. So, using the beta hats you can find out the y hats, then find out the differences. Using beta tilde you can find out the y tilde to find out the differences, compare the errors which are more or less depending on the overestimation and underestimation penalty cost, which I have discussed in the 3 examples, one related to the product, one related to the civil engineering design, and one related to the electrical engineering design. Now, we will consider something to do with the balance loss function. Now, if you remember the balance loss function, I will repeat it, please bear with me. In the balance loss function as proposed by Zellner, you basically had the precision of estimation and the goodness of fit. Precision of estimation was basically what we have been discussing so far, is something to do with the betas or the regression parameters which you want to estimate. And then we want to basically find out that how good or bad the fits are. So, you will use the precision of estimation and then go into the goodness of fit. When you go into the goodness of fit, your main concern is basically to find out the differences of y and y hat, provided y hat is the value calculated based on the beta hats, where beta hats are being calculated using the concept of ordinary least square. Now, the question comes like this: well, if you have the precision of estimation and the goodness of fit, why not change the background of the problem, keeping the main thrust area, that being precision of estimation and goodness of fit, in order to basically calculate different sets of betas, so that we can find out under what circumstances and what type of betas we should use. Now, coming back to that, what you can do is that, and what we will now discuss is basically a balance loss function where there are 4 different combinations. In combination 1, the precision of estimation and the concept of this goodness of fit, both are squared error, and we use the betas as the betas coming out from the ordinary least square. That is case 1. Case number 2, we consider that the concept of Linux loss is being utilized. So, the Linux loss is being utilized in the sense that we still continue using the beta hat, which is the beta estimated using the ordinary least square. In the third example, we use again the different combinations of the precision of estimation and the goodness of it, but in this case we try to utilize the concept of this betas coming out from the Linux loss function. Beta hats come from the Linux loss, which is basically beta tilde, and finally again we use different combinations of precision of estimation and the concept of goodness of fit, but still continue using the beta tilde, which is under the Linux loss. So, with this I will give you the 4 different backgrounds. I will not go into the results, but these are basically can be considered in different type of problem solution in the in the actual practical case, which definitely gives you much better results in the than in the theoretical results. Obviously, theoretical results would be very nice in the theoretical sense, they will give you good results in the theoretical point of view, but from the practical point of view, it is better we use the Linux loss using the concept of whether underestimation is more penalized or overestimation is more penalized. So, let us discuss these 4 different simple ideas in the corresponding 4 slides. For the case of multiple linear regression set under the condition, we are interested to find out the beta vector, which is basically the vector of regression coefficients using the estimate beta tilde. Those here beta tilde is being used very generally. So, we use the balance loss function where the squared error loss portrays the goodness of it. So, this is where the squared error portrays the goodness of it, while precision of estimation is denoted by the Linux loss. So, now you have 2 loss functions, squared error Linux, squared error being used for goodness of it, that is with respect to finding out the differences between y and y hat and finding out the square of that and trying to find out the errors, while precision estimation would be utilized with respect to Linux loss when you are trying to find out the betas themselves. So, the balance loss function would be of this form. So, you are going to give weights. So, the weights would be given in such a way, you will give a weight of lambda to one set of errors and 1 minus lambda to the other set of errors. So, what is the error for lambda? So, let us go to the goodness of it. So, use the color yellow. So, goodness of it lambda, where you are trying to find out the difference between the actual value and the predicted value. Actual value is y, that bold, and predicted value is basically x multiplied by the beta tilde which you have found out using the concept of squared error loss. While if I go to the precision of estimation, you give a weight of 1 minus lambda, and here you want to basically calculate a value of theta. Theta is basically a vector which basically theta is a value which is basically multiplied by 2 vectors L. L is an arbitrary vector consisting of some numbers. So, that would depend on the type of problem which we are going to do. So, if you basically have p number of betas, so L would also be a p vector, but they would be multiplied by either column versus row or row versus column basically to give you the scalar value which is theta. Now, remember one thing, if L1 value which is corresponding to beta 1 value is 1 and the rest are 0, obviously you find out beta 1. If say for example, LP is 1 and the rest are 0, you will find out basically beta p. So, it can be changed accordingly. Now, in this case continuing this discussion, you give basically the Linux loss in order to basically estimate the theta. Theta is basically the precision of estimation which you want to do. And here you consider theta is equal to that L transpose into beta, and this L transpose is basically a vector or a scalar or a column vector or a row vector in whichever you denote as L1, L2, L3 till LP, and LP that P cross 1 vector which is there, not all cannot be 0. So, under certain conditions you can basically replace beta tilde which is the estimate which you are utilizing for beta with the squared error estimate. Squared error estimate is basically the beta hat which you have used. So, you replace that and you can do the calculations accordingly. Now, consider the second type of formulation of the same concept, but being presented in a different way. For the MLR setup, consider one is interested to estimate beta, again beta p cross 1, beta is a vector using beta tilde. So, beta tilde is being used generally, but here the balance loss function has been modeled accordingly. So, what is this? Squared error loss portrays the goodness of it, which is as it is. The precision of estimation is denoted by Linux loss, which is as it is. But the main difference which I should have highlighted in the last diagram, but I will highlight it with the green color, main difference being beta tilde being substituted by beta from the Linux loss estimate. So, just watch the colors, squared errors for the goodness of it, precision estimation Linux loss, and beta tilde which will be utilized to calculate would basically be coming from the Linux loss background. So, the balance loss function is now, I will highlight it, the yellow color being the goodness of fit which you have, 1 minus lambda is the weightages which you will give for the precision of estimation, and again here theta will be equal to the vector L column or row whichever you want to denote multiplied by beta, and theta is basically a scalar quantity. L, as I said, not all can be 0. Under certain conditions we will use beta tilde being replaced by beta corresponding to the Linux loss. So, first case was the goodness of fit was squared error, the precision of estimation was Linux, and you use beta, the estimated beta as to be coming from the ordinary least square setup. Second, which is there in front of you, again square error loss for the goodness of fit, Linux loss for the precision estimation, but now you basically use beta, the estimated value of beta coming from the Linux loss setup. Let us consider the third setup. Again I will highlight using the colors, so I will remove all them. So, goodness of fit was now, which was initially squared error, now it is using the Linux loss. So, goodness of fit was basically Linux loss. So, I will highlight that. So, this is the Linux loss. No, this is the Linux loss, sorry, my mistake. So, this is the goodness of fit, and the precision estimation and basically come out which is I am using the red color, squared error loss portrays precision estimation. So, this is the precision estimation. Now, under these conditions again theta, I will repeat it, theta is basically the scalar which is the multiplication of L vector multiplied by beta vector. These are whether scalar or which are column or row, you can decide accordingly, and L values not all can be 0, and under certain circumstances we use beta to be replaced by the ordinary least square which is beta hat, which I will again highlight using the red color, green color which I have already decided. Now, come to the the fourth example. Here I will use goodness of fit again to be denoted by Linux loss. So, the problem is for the multiple linear regression, one is interested to estimate beta using beta tilde, again beta tilde is being used very generally, and we have basically the goodness of fit and the squared error loss portraying one error and goodness of fit being portrayed by other error. So, goodness of fit, let me use the green yellow color, goodness of fit is being denoted by Linux loss. So, goodness of fit will basically denote by the Linux loss which is here, and the concept of squared error loss being used for precision estimation would be denoted by here, where precision estimation is basically related to finding out the best estimate for theta, which is a function of beta, because beta is being multiplied by L. So, obviously, is a linear combinations of beta. And as such our general beta, so under the condition again theta is basically multiplication of L into beta in the column or row vector format, and all else cannot be 0 L values, and here also you can basically substitute beta with the beta tilde, where beta tilde is now basically the Linux loss. So, in these two cases you have 4 combinations, goodness of fit being squared error and precision of estimation being Linux. Under these combination you had beta tilde being either beta from the squared error or beta from the Linux. So, there are 2 cases here. Then in the next 2 cases again you have basically the squared error loss being for the precision of estimation and goodness of fit being the Linux. So, in for the third and the fourth case you have the background same, but the estimates being utilized for beta would be, in the third case it will be beta under the ordinary least square, and in the fourth case it is beta under the Lennox loss condition. Now, we will start you can solve the problems accordingly, but I am not going to go to the details for that, because that will consume a huge amount of time. So, we will consider the canonical correlation coefficient method. So, this was basically proposed by Hotelling in his papers in 1935 and 36. So, this is the concept of canonical correlation coefficient, where the authors studied the arithmetic speed and the arithmetic power, how they are related to the reading power and reading speed. So, if your reading power, reading speed is higher, does it basically signify your arithmetic concepts of powers and speed to do problems in arithmetic front are higher or lower, or they have no relationship? Basically, that was basically the concept based on which the study was done. Mathematically, canonical correlation coefficient would be stated by like this. So, there are x number of random variables x1 to xp, and what you want to do is that you want to find out the relationship between x1 to xp and y1 to yq, where technically p would basically be less than equal to q. So, what you are trying to do is that trying to basically synthesize and find out the information of the relationship between the x's using the concept of covariances or using the concept of correlations, such that you can find out some relationship between what is intended, what is given, and based on that what you intend to study. So, you want to basically find out the relationship and find out to what degree or what power you are able to predict, or basically try to give some useful information. So, the idea is to basically find out index as where that it describes a possible linkage between the x vectors and the y vectors, where x are basically maybe they are the observable one and y is basically what you want to study, or vice versa, whichever you want to basically put it in the studies. So, now in using the canonical correlation coefficient, we are interested to find a vector. So, A. So, vectors A basically would be numbers which would technically be a size of p cross 1, because if you remember x is the size of actual random variables of size p, and also simultaneously we want to find out a set of vector B, which is b cross 1, which would basically correspond to the y random variables which are of size q, such that these vectors A and B would give me the relationship at different stage, what is that between x and y, such that I can find out that given some observable informations and given some theoretical information which I want to basically not predict, I will not use the word predict, you want to basically find out that what is the relationship between the x and y and to what degree. Now, we want to find out the correlations, such that the correlations which is existing between A and B or U and V. U and V would basically be the new sets of random variables being formulated by the combinations, or the so called convex combinations of A and x, and V would be the random variables formed by the convex combinations of B and y. So, what you want to do is that given the correlation between A and B, we would basically try to predict what is the correlation coefficient between U and V, which are the new vectors which are being formed in order for better prediction under CCA, which is canonical correlation coefficient analysis method. So, in this case, so in under canonical correlation coefficient method or analysis method is based on the linear indices or linear combinations. So, as if you remember, I mentioned that U would basically be formed by a linear combination of A and x, and similarly V would be basically formed by the convex combination of B and y. So, in this case what we are going to do is that given this convex combination of A and x and B and y, we want to basically find out this relationship between them, such that the predictability of what is observable and what is not observable, based on which you want to predict, would come out in the maximum possible way or maximum degree. Now, what we do in the canonical correlation method? So, we go step by step. What we do is that we in the first step we determine the first pair of combinations, which is basically, so U would be a vector, similarly V would be a vector. So, you want to find out the relationship between the first element of U, which is U1, depending on how the combinations have been set up, and V1, such that it takes out the maximum amount of correlation which is existing between U and V. So, let me read it as it says. The idea of canonical correlation is to go step by wise, where in the first step we determine the first pair of combinations of U suffix 1 and V suffix 1, which results in the largest amount of correlation which is can be gathered or gleaned from this relationship. So, which results in the largest value of the correlation rho 1 square, rho 1 is basically corresponding to U 1 V 1 amongst all the pairs such that they are uncorrelated and gives us the maximum amount of information. So, once we have found out rho 1 square, star means the best value, you keep it aside, and then you basically assume the relationship is going for the next stage, where you find out another two values of U and V which are given by U 2 suffix 2 and V suffix 2, such that given the first set of information, the relationship between U and V 1, we basically, and taking out the correlation coefficient, we try to find out the next set of maximum correlation coefficient which is existing, such that they would be uncorrelated in the sense in the pair wise, such that you are able to find out rho 2 square, and we continue doing it step by step, such that we are able to gather the maximum amount of information which exists between the U's and the V's, corresponding to U 1 V 1, then U 2 V 2, then U 3 V 3, and so on and so forth. In the next step, what I just mentioned, I will read it. In the next step onwards, then one determines the second pair of linear combinations, which is U 2 V 2, that has the largest correlation given by rho 2 square amongst all the pairs, such that they are now correlated with the initial selected pairs. So, the initial selected pairs which was there U 1 V 1, you will try to find out the second set, such that you will get the maximum correlation, provided U 2 V 2 are initially not correlated to U 1 V 1. So, what you are trying to do? You are trying to basically group them and find out the orthogonal relationship between U 1 V 1 as a group with respect to U 2 V 2, because they are uncorrelated, which means they would be orthogonal to each other, they would be 90 degrees. Then you go to the third step, where you consider a third combination of U 3 V 3, such that it will be uncorrelated both with respect to U 2 V 2 and U 1 V 1, such that you are able to find out the remaining maximum amount of correlation which is there. You proceed likewise, you find out U 4 V 4, U 5 V 5, but in each step you ensure that you are able to get the maximum correlation, but provided that the orthogonality between the preceding the sets which you have obtained is maintained, such that it is in a way trying to find out basically the eigenvalues and the eigenvectors which are there for the studies, where you want to break up the relationship using a new set of V's corresponding to the fact that you have all the set of information which is available is in the U's and V's. I am talking about the vectors as such. We continue doing this till the P stage, because you remember the P stage is basically depending on the number of such random variables which is there for x. So, that we obtain U 1 V 1 as a pair, U 2 V 2 as a pair, and continue till U 3 U P V P, and the correlation coefficients are given. The maximum for each state would be given by rho 1 square with a star, rho 2 square with a star till rho p square. That means, rho 1, rho 2, rho 3 till rho p are the maximum value of the correlations corresponding to the uncorrelated values of the preceding set of relationships which you have. In case the condition of p less than equal to q is not there, you basically take the minimum value of p and q. Canonical correlation method is simple, useful method to describe two correlation structure between two sets of variables. In generalizations of the concept of multiple correlations, and successively it maximizes the correlation existing between the pairs, linear pairs of two sets at a time, such that you are able to divide the correlation coefficient into groups, such that you get the maximum information of the relationship between actual x and y which is coming out from u and v. This method can be used as a dimension reduction method. So, you are trying to basically reduce the dimension, still maintain the level of correlation, such that you are able to glean the maximum set of information. It is a reduction technique, in that it represents the correlation structure between two sets of variables in terms of smaller number of correlation coefficient values which would be coming out from the eigenvalues and the eigenvectors. The pairs of linear combinations, that is u1 v1, u2 v2 till up vp, thus obtained are termed as the canonical variables, while the corresponding rho 1 square star, rho 2 square star till rho p square star are known as the canonical correlation values, which gives me the degree of relationship or to what level the relationships have been summarized utilizing the correlation coefficient values. So, we will basically state it accordingly. I will solve a simple problem later on. Suppose x is distributed with an expected value of mu suffix x, and y is distributed with the value where expected value of y is mu suffix y. Corresponding covariance of x is sigma suffix xx, and corresponding value of covariance of y is sigma suffix yy. Moreover, we will consider the covariance of x and y is there, it will be given by the sigma suffix xy or sigma transpose of y and x. So, they would obviously covariances are once you find out the covariance of x to y and y to x, they are the mirror image, because the principal diagonal is same of the diagonal element are mirror image. Thus, one can verify very easily that the correlation coefficient existing between u and p would exactly be equal to existing between a and b, which is the variables which you want to find out. So, we want to basically find out the covariances of a and b by the concept of this. This is the formula which is given and we will try to utilize. So, this is the correlation coefficient. So, the first the above term which is in the numerator is the covariances and the below terms are basically standard deviation, it is the same formula which you use. So, based on that we will proceed one by one and find out the correlation coefficient such that the pairwise u1 v1 with rho 1 square maximum, u2 v2 rho 2 square maximum, star are the maximum values. You continue in doing this so that you are able to break up the relationship. Break means partition into maximum relationship between, say for example, set of observable values with the set of such other set of variables which may not have been studied or which you think are important for the study in order to predict. So, with this I will end the 55th lecture, which is the end of 11th week, and continue discussing with the correlation coefficient methods of canonical correlation and discuss few other important topics, not from the theoretical point of view, but from simple problem solving, so that you gather a lot of information as required in the DADM 1 course. With this I will end this course and this class, and have a nice day, and thank you very much for your attention.